Seniors, listen to this very carefully, because what I'm about to say will sound impossible at first. In Japan right now, there are doctors over 100 years old who still wake up before sunrise, eat breakfast, walk to their clinic, see patients, write research papers, and end their day without needing a single afternoon nap. Their joints aren't screaming in pain. Their minds aren't foggy. Their hands don't shake when they sign their names. These aren't superheroes. They're human beings in their 90s and 100s who quietly follow a daily eating pattern that most of the Western world has completely ignored. And here's the shocking part. When researchers from Tokyo Medical University and Okinawa's centenarian study compared these 100-year doctors to average seniors in America, they found something that should make every person over 60 sit up straight. The difference in energy, memory, and mobility wasn't mainly from exercise, genetics, or expensive supplements. It largely came down to three incredibly simple foods they eat almost every single day. Not 30 foods, not a complicated diet chart, just three powerful foods that work together like a daily anti-aging prescription. One of these foods has been shown in Japanese hospital studies to cut fracture risk in older women in half. Another helps clear out sticky calcium from arteries and puts it back into your bones, like moving cement out of your pipes and back into your walls where it belongs. The last one is so rich in natural antioxidants that scientists call it edible youth armor because it protects your blood vessels, brain, and skin at the same time. Most shocking of all, almost nobody over 60 in the West eats these three foods daily. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Picture yourself at 85 or 90, getting out of bed in one smooth motion, not groaning, not grabbing the nightstand for balance, not praying your knees don't give out. You put your feet on the floor, your back feels stable, your hands feel strong enough to open a jar, and your mind feels clear enough to remember every appointment on your calendar. Now here's the goosebump moment. Japanese researchers have tracked seniors who eat these three foods daily and found that their risk of losing independence drops so dramatically that many of them are still living alone, driving, and even working part-time in their 90s and beyond. If you're over 60, you need to hear this. The way your plate looks today is quietly predicting whether you'll need a walker at 75 or still be walking on your own at 95. That's how powerful daily food patterns are. And you'll see, as we go through each of these three foods, that they don't just add years to the end of your life, they change your next 10 years, your next 12 months, even how you feel when you get out of bed tomorrow morning. Before we dive in, I want you to do something important. Pause for 1 second and type your age and where you're watching. From in the comments, are you 62 from Florida, 71 from Texas, 83 from California? We read every single comment, and it helps us understand how many seniors are waking up to this information. And after you hear about these three foods, I want you to come back and comment which one you're going to start with. Deal? All right, let's start with the first food on our list. And don't be fooled by the order. The last one is the most powerful of all, but this first one is the bone shield that has kept thousands of Japanese grandparents walking tall into their 90s. Number 3, the sticky breakfast food that keeps you from breaking like glass. Food number 3, the sticky breakfast that hardens bones, not arteries. If I told you there was a food that looked like a stringy, sticky, slightly smelly mess, but quietly cuts hip fracture risk in older women by up to 81%, would you at least be curious? Because that's exactly what Japanese researchers from the National Institute of Health and Nutrition found when they studied a traditional breakfast food called natto. Natto is simply fermented soybeans. Most Western seniors have never tasted it, and honestly, many Japanese children make a funny face the first time they see it. It's brown, it's sticky, and when you lift it with chopsticks, it makes these long, spiderwebby strings. But inside that strange texture lies one of the most powerful anti-aging weapons nature ever made, vitamin K2, especially a form called MK7. Here's where the "oh my God, does this even happen?" moment comes in. After 60, calcium becomes confused. That sounds silly, but it's true. Instead of going into your bones where you need it, a lot of it gets stuck in the walls of your arteries, turning them hard like old rubber hoses. That's why you can have normal bone density scans for years and then suddenly break your hip from a simple fall. The calcium was never properly directed. Vitamin K2 in natto acts like a traffic officer for calcium. It literally tells calcium, you go into the bones, you out of the arteries. Studies from Japanese hospitals show that elderly women who eat natto regularly have significantly higher bone density and much lower fracture rates than those who don't. One long-term study tracking over 1,000 women found that those in the highest natto eating group had that staggering 81% lower risk of hip fractures. That's not a small difference. That's the difference between recovering at home and never coming back from the nursing facility. Let me give you a real-life story. Mrs. Sato, a 79-year-old woman from outside Tokyo, grew up eating a small bowl of natto almost every morning. When doctors scanned her bones at 78, they were preparing to see advanced osteoporosis. Instead, her bone density looked like someone 20 years younger. She still works part-time at a flower shop, walks up and down stairs holding buckets of water, and told researchers, "I don't feel fragile, I feel planted." Meanwhile, her younger sister, who moved to the city and stopped eating natto decades earlier, had already suffered a spine fracture from simply lifting a heavy grocery bag. The wow factor here is that natto doesn't just support your bones. It seems to protect your heart at the same time. Remember that confused calcium? When it gets stuck in your arterial walls, it increases stiffness and raises your risk of heart attack and stroke. Clinical studies have shown that vitamin K2 intake, especially from natto, is linked to reduced arterial calcification and better cardiovascular health in older adults. So one small, humble bowl of sticky beans is quietly working on your skeleton and your circulation at the same time. Now you might be thinking, okay, but I'm in America. I don't have natto in my fridge. That's fair. The good news is, this isn't an all-or-nothing rule. Many Asian grocery stores now carry natto in the freezer section, and some health food stores offer it as well. You eat it like this: a small portion on top of warm rice, or mixed into scrambled eggs or tucked into a little wrap. You don't need a mountain of it. Japanese doctors often recommend just a few tablespoons a day. If the texture really bothers you, talk to your healthcare provider about vitamin K2, especially MK7, from other foods like certain aged cheeses, or consider supplements. But remember, supplements aren't magic. The traditional food source comes with natural enzymes, fiber, and probiotics that your gut loves. Here's the fear factor you need to keep in mind. After 60, every year you live without protecting your bones is like walking closer and closer to the edge of a cliff you don't see until you're already falling. One random misstep in the bathroom, one stumble over a rug, one icy patch outside, and suddenly your life is divided into before the fracture and after the fracture. Natto is one of the rare foods that can move you away from that cliff. Before we move on, I want you to answer this in the comments. Have you ever broken a bone after age 50? Or do you know someone who did from a surprisingly small fall? Type yes or no and tell us what happened if you're comfortable sharing. Your story might be the exact wake-up call another senior needs to hear. Now, bones and arteries are just part of the aging story. What about your cells? What about the rusting that happens inside your body, in your brain, your eyes, your joints? The next food on our list looks humble, grows in the ground, and is usually pushed to the side of the plate. But Japanese 100-year doctors treat it like edible medicine. And once you understand why, you'll never look at this color the same way again. Food number 2, the purple root that slows your body's rusting clock. If you've ever seen photos of Okinawan centenarians, those smiling grandmothers and grandfathers with smooth skin and bright eyes in their 90s and 100s, you might have noticed something colorful on their plates: a deep violet, almost royal purple root vegetable. This is the Okinawan purple sweet potato, and it might be the closest thing nature has to a live longer without falling apart food. Here's the, oh my God, is that even real part. Researchers from the Japan Longevity Association and several international universities analyzed the traditional Okinawan diet and discovered that for many long-lived elders, up to 60% of their daily calories once came from these purple sweet potatoes. Not white bread, not sugary cereal, not processed snacks, purple roots. And the result? Historically, Okinawans had some of the lowest rates of heart disease, dementia, and certain cancers in the world. Why is this root so powerful, especially for people over 60? The secret is in its color. That deep purple comes from compounds called anthocyanins, the same family of antioxidants found in blueberries and purple cabbage. But in purple sweet potatoes, they're present in impressive amounts. Antioxidants are like rust cleaners for your body. Over time, stress, pollution, poor sleep, and normal metabolism create free radicals that rust your cells, damaging DNA, proteins, and cell membranes. This internal rusting is a huge part of what we call aging. Wrinkles, stiff joints, slow thinking, tired muscles. They all have roots in oxidative damage. Anthocyanins in purple sweet potatoes act like a crew of tiny janitors inside your blood vessels and organs. They neutralize those damaging free radicals before they can scrape away at your tissues. Studies on older adults have shown that diets rich in anthocyanins are linked to better memory, lower blood pressure, improved blood vessel flexibility, and reduced inflammation. Japanese lab studies on purple sweet potato varieties have found that their specific anthocyanins can protect brain cells from damage, support liver health, and even slow the growth of certain tumor cells in Petri dishes. But that's just the antioxidant story. The second benefit is about blood sugar. Many seniors are told to fear carbohydrates completely, but the purple sweet potato behaves differently from white bread or sugary desserts. It has a lower glycemic impact, meaning it releases energy more slowly into your bloodstream. On top of that, it contains a type of fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria, which can improve blood sugar control even more. When your blood sugar is steady instead of spiking and crashing, you feel more energetic, your brain works more clearly, and your long-term risk of diabetes complications drops. Let's bring in a real person. Meet Grandma Ko, a 96-year-old woman from a small Okinawan village. Researchers visited her home as part of a longevity study. They found her kneeling on the floor, sorting vegetables, with a big bowl of steamed purple sweet potatoes beside her. When asked how often she eats them, she laughed and said, "Almost every day. My mother fed them to me. I fed them to my children. They'll feed them to theirs." She walks to the local shop most days, climbs stairs without holding the railing, and says her memory forgets small annoyances but remembers the important things. Now imagine the contrast. Think about the typical Western senior breakfast. White toast, sugary jam, sweet cereal, maybe a pastry, coffee with sugar. Fast sugar in, fast sugar crash later. Joint stiffness stays, brain fog lingers. Weight around the belly creeps up year after year. The difference between those plates is the difference between slowly rusting from the inside and gently polishing the metal every day. You don't have to live in Japan to get this benefit. Many grocery stores and Asian markets now carry purple sweet potatoes or similar varieties. Even orange sweet potatoes, while not identical, still offer beta-carotene and fiber that are far better than most processed carbs. The Japanese doctor move is simple. Replace at least one white or processed carb each day, like white bread, white rice, or sugary cereal, with a portion of sweet potato, ideally purple if you can find it. How can you eat it? Steam it and eat it plain with a sprinkle of sea salt. Mash it with a bit of olive oil. Cut it into wedges and roast it slowly. The goal isn't to drown it in sugar and marshmallows like a Thanksgiving dish. It's to let it be the star, not the dessert. And remember, your plate doesn't have to look traditionally Japanese to act like Japanese longevity medicine. A piece of grilled fish, a scoop of purple sweet potato, and some green vegetables is already a doctor-approved anti-aging plate. Here's a little FOMO moment for you. When scientists compare the blood of seniors who eat these colorful roots regularly to those who don't, they often find higher antioxidant capacity, better blood vessel function, and lower markers of inflammation. In other words, their internal environment is closer to that of someone 10 or even 15 years younger. If you're over 60 and not eating anything like this, the uncomfortable truth is your cells are aging faster than they have to. Before we reveal the number one food, the one Japanese 100-year doctors almost all have in common, I want you to answer this question in the comments. If you had to rate your daily energy on a scale from 1 to 10, Where are you right now? And what's the hardest part of your day? Mornings, afternoons, or evenings? Tell us honestly. Your answer will help us create more videos targeted exactly to the struggles you're facing. Because the food we're about to talk about doesn't just support your bones, blood vessels, and brain. It quietly bathes every single cell in your body, from your skin to your heart to the tiny capillaries behind your eyes, in compounds that Japanese scientists have been obsessed with for decades. And the best part, it's something you can easily drink or eat every single day, even on a tight budget. Food number one, the green youth shield almost every Japanese 100-year doctor uses daily. If you walk into the home or office of a Japanese doctor in their 80s, 90s, or even 100s, you're going to see one thing over and over again. Not a fancy supplement rack, not shelves full of protein powders, a simple teapot or cup with a gentle green color. Green tea, especially high-quality Japanese green tea like sencha or matcha, may be the single most powerful daily anti-aging food they use. Now you might be thinking, green tea? Really? That's the big secret? But stay with me, because what's inside that cup is far more dramatic than it looks. Epidemiologists from Japan's National Cancer Center followed tens of thousands of adults for years and found that those who drank several cups of green tea daily had significantly lower risk of heart disease, stroke, and even certain cancers. Another large study found that older adults who drank green tea had better memory scores and slower cognitive decline than non-tea drinkers. The magic comes from compounds called catechins, especially one superstar called EGCG, epigallocatechin galat. These molecules are like microscopic bodyguards. They patrol your arteries, your brain, your joints, and your organs, looking for troublemakers, free radicals, inflammatory molecules, and unstable cells that are starting to behave badly. EGCG has been shown in lab and animal studies to reduce inflammation, protect brain cells from damage, improve cholesterol profiles, and even help faulty cells self-destruct before they become dangerous. Here's the wow, that can't be true moment. Some longevity researchers describe green tea as a mild daily chemoprevention, meaning it provides gentle, constant pressure against the processes that normally lead to cancer over decades. Not enough to replace medical treatment, of course, but enough to tilt the odds steadily in your favor, sip by sip, year after year. And it's not just about disease prevention. Green tea appears to directly support the way your cells handle aging. In one study, older adults who consumed green tea regularly had longer telomeres, those little caps on the ends of your chromosomes that shorten as you age. Longer telomeres are associated with slower biological aging. Translation: people who drink green tea may literally be younger on a cellular level, even if their birth certificate says otherwise. Let's look at a real example. Dr. Tanaka, a respected Japanese physician who practiced into his late 90s, was known for his daily ritual. Every morning around 5:30 a.m., he would slowly prepare a pot of green tea, sit by the window and drink it in silence before seeing patients. When asked why he never switched to coffee, he smiled and said, "Coffee wakes you up. Tea keeps you alive." His blood pressure stayed stable into his late 90s. He experienced no major heart events. His mind remained sharp enough to review complex medical charts without reading glasses. If you're a senior in America who's mostly drinking soda, sweet tea, or multiple cups of coffee with cream and sugar, here's your fear moment. Those drinks are quietly inflaming your body, stressing your pancreas, spiking your blood sugar, and dehydrating your cells. They're working against your longevity. Green tea, properly prepared, does the opposite. It hydrates, calms inflammation, gently stimulates without the harsh crash of coffee, and delivers those catechins to every corner of your body. How do you start using this Japanese doctor secret? First, choose a good quality green tea. It doesn't have to be the most expensive, but avoid the super cheap dust-filled bags if you can. Loose leaf sencha or a decent matcha powder is ideal. Second, don't burn it. Boiling water can make green tea bitter and may reduce some of its delicate compounds. Let the water cool for a minute after boiling, then brew. Aim for 2 to 3 cups spread throughout the day. If you're sensitive to caffeine, have your last cup before mid-afternoon or choose a low-caffeine green tea. And here's a power move many Japanese doctors recommend. Combine green tea with small, regular meals of whole foods, a cup of tea with a bowl of rice, vegetables and fish, a small afternoon snack of sweet potato with green tea. This pairing helps your body handle fats and sugars more gracefully and creates a rhythm that your metabolism loves. Now step back and look at all three foods together: natto, purple sweet potato, and green tea. Each one is powerful alone, but together they form a triangle of protection. Natto moves calcium where it belongs, protecting bones and arteries. Purple sweet potato slows down the internal rusting and stabilizes energy. Green tea patrols your cells, guarding them against inflammation and damage. One works on structure, one on fuel, one on cleanup and defense. That's why Japanese 100-year doctors treat them not as extras, but as daily foundations. So here's the big question. What happens if you don't do any of this? If you keep eating like the average Western senior, lots of processed foods, white carbs, sugary drinks, barely any fermented foods or colorful roots, and no green tea? The answer isn't dramatic for one day or 1 week, but over 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, the gap becomes enormous. The people who quietly adopt these habits in their 60s and 70s are the ones still going to weddings, graduations, and vacations in their 80s and 90s. The ones who don't are far more likely to be watching life from the sidelines, limited by pain, fatigue, and medical complications. The beautiful truth is this: you don't have to transform your life overnight or move to Japan. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to start acting a little more like these 100-year doctors, 1 plate and 1 cup at a time. Maybe tomorrow you add your first cup of green tea. Next week you swap your white potato or bread for a sweet potato 3 times. Next month you visit an Asian market or online shop and try natto for the first time, or find another source of vitamin K2. Tiny daily decisions, repeated over months and years, are what actually bend your aging curve. I want to leave you with this hopeful thought. Aging is not just a countdown clock. It's a set of choices that either speed up the damage or slow it down. Japanese 100-year doctors aren't magically gifted. They've simply learned how to cooperate with their bodies instead of fighting them. Their plates, their cups, their little daily rituals send powerful messages to their cells. Repair, protect, stay strong. You can start sending the same messages today, no matter how old you are or what your health history looks like. Now we want to hear from you. Which of these 3 foods surprised you the most? The sticky natto, the purple sweet potato, or the humble cup of green tea? And which one are you realistically willing to start with this week? Tell us in the comments. Your commitment, written down publicly, might inspire someone else your age to take the same step. And if this video opened your eyes to how simple daily foods can change your entire future, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this with a friend who wants to stay strong, sharp, and independent into their 80s, 90s, and beyond. Remember, your body hasn't forgotten how to heal and protect itself. It's just waiting for you to give it the right tools. Start today. Your 90-year-old self is already thanking you.